What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Friday Night Chill. This is episode 11. Yeah, episode 11. So welcome tonight, guys. Sorry if I sound a little gross. I am hopefully on the upswing from getting sick. I got sick on, I guess, like Wednesday night. And I've just been kind of dealing with that all week. So yeah, man. Wanted to do the show anyway. I almost didn't do it because, yeah, I just wasn't feeling great. But let's just do it anyway. Hopefully, my voice doesn't sound too awful. But yeah, man. Let's dive right in tonight. We're keeping on theme with the Ranger related stuff. I figure we could just do that since it's August and a lot of stuff, Ranger related stuff is happening anyway, so I figured this was a good time to do that. Plus I'm doing the giveaway or whatever, which by the way, if you have not entered that giveaway yet, you can still do that. I left links to it directly in the video description of this episode on YouTube. So if you would like to enter for the chance to win a blue Senturion or a silver Space Ranger figure, it's right in the description. And Colin says, miss you. Yeah, I miss you too. Let's go into it. So tonight we're going to be ranking primary Megazords, so let's go ahead and transition into that. Woo, there it is. Okay, cool. And I think now I set it so that chat stuff will display on this screen as well, so if you're watching along at home, you should be able to see it, as opposed to me just reading the chat. So yeah. All right. So let's break down what we got here. So obviously we got what I would consider primary Megazords for each Ranger team. Now there are like a couple weird ones because like you could argue that they're not primary, but for the sake of this video and for the sake of this tier list, I just considered them that, and that probably being the Shogun Megazord right here. I'm counting that for the Alien Rangers because that was their primary Megazord that they used. They never used the Ninja Megazord. They just used the Shogun Megazord in their Battleborgs, so that's why Shogun Megazord's here. And then we also have the Thunder Megazord from Ninja Storm, which I would consider the Thunder Rangers part of the main primary team. So they're not technically extra Rangers. They are part of the core team of 5, not 3. So Ninja Storm's weird because there's like subdivisions of the teams. But for the sake of this tier list, the Thunder Rangers Thunder Megazord will be considered a primary Megazord. So, okay. I have water here because I'm going to try and keep the episode a little bit shorter tonight. I don't think this is going to go as long as last week because that was more broad with seasons and stuff. And this is going to be more so what I think of, how cool I think these robots are. So, for the sake of my voice, and I'm also trying not to push myself too hard because Japan World Heroes is tomorrow, and I'm really trying hard to, and I just changed my tab right in front of you guys. I'm trying to be well enough to go to Japan World Heroes tomorrow. The jury's still out on it, so, but I did want to do this at least anyway, so that way can do something. But I'm not trying to push myself too hard, is basically what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so let's get into it. So the tier list, as far as what we got for categories for my audio-only listeners, it's going to be the same as last week. So we have S tier for being the best of the best, A tier for the best, not the best of the best, but just the best. And then we got B tier, which are like, they're pretty cool. C tier are okay. D tier are kind of bleh. And then F tier are just bad. Fair enough. Cool. And we're going in season order. So let's get into it, man. Enough talking. Let's get into it. So we're starting off with the Mighty Morphin Dino Megazord from season 1. There's obviously a little bit of a bias with this one, just because of how iconic it is and sort of the precedent it sets for all of the robots after it. And I think just generally, it's a pretty good design. Despite being a little bit older and boxier, it's more so a product of its time. It still has aged pretty well, and that's not really the case for some designs. That being said, I don't think I would put it in S tier because I don't think it deserves that. I would probably put it in B? Yeah, we'll put it in B tier for now. Because it's, pretty good. It's not fantastic or anything, but it's, pretty good. Or do I want to put it in A? We'll move things around if we need to. Same thing as last week. Alright, so moving along, we have the Mega Thunderzord, or the Thunder Megazord. I'm calling it the Mega Thunderzord because we have the Thunder Megazord right here for Ninja Storm. So yeah, Mega Thunderzord, it's okay. Truthfully, the Red Dragon, by itself is the best part of this Zord system thing. I think we'll put it in B next to the Dino Megazord. Do I like it more than the Dino? No, Dino Megazord's a little bit better. So we'll put it in B as well next to the Dino Megazord. Alright, now moving on into Season 3. We have the Ninja Megazord. So Season 3 is going to have my favorite Zords of this era. Ninja Megazord is not my favorite of the ones in this season, but I do like it more than the Dino Megazord and the Thunder Megazord. So I think we're going to put Ninja Megazord in A tier. I don't have either the Ninja Megazord or the Shogun Megazord with the Falcon Zord because I think those combinations would count as the 6 Rangers Zord combination. I think. I don't know. For the sake of this, it's just the Ninja Megazord and the Shogun Megazord without the Falcon Zord. So we're gonna put we're gonna put Ninja Megazord in A tier. So let me check the chat here. Ray is here. Hi, Ray. Sorry, and Tommy is here too. Hello, guys. Sorry, I'm not really paying that much attention to the chat. I'm just trying to go through the tier list and get going tonight. So next up, we have the Shogun Megazord. Shogun Megazord, if you know me at all, is an S tier Megazord. The Shogun Megazord is one of my favorite Megazords of all time. So that's easily going in S tier. So I'm very excited for this one. My biggest disappointment when Bandai America had the toy license for Rangers is that they lost it right when they were possibly about to do a Legacy Shogun Megazord, and they just never did it. We were so close, but they just never did it. And they never even did anything in Japan either. That part was really annoying. I know they had plans. They had to have had plans to make a Legacy, Mutek Shogun or whatever. Whatever. Past is the past. But yeah, Shogun Megazord's great. So now we move on to Zeo, the Zeo Megazord. And I gotta be honest with you guys. Zeo Megazord. It's kind of the most forgettable of this era, if I'm honest. And also, yellow and pink Zords on this are just really stupid. They're just based off statues. So you have like a phoenix, a sphinx, and a Taurus or something. Some kind of mythical version of a Taurus. And then you have like a couple statues for the girls to just be bricks for the feet. I don't know. Kind of weird. Not really vibing with that. I think Zeo Megazord is probably going to be our first C tier entry. So there you go. Now, next up we have the Turbo Megazord, which, for those of you who don't know, the Turbo Megazord is my favorite Megazord ever, period. So that's going at the top of S tier, above the Shogun Megazord. And I don't know, man, it's just so perfect. You know, it's just cars and robots. It's like, especially because like I was a bit of a Transformers fan growing up, and still am to a lesser degree than, you know, being a Power Ranger fan. But yeah, I don't know, man. Transforming car robot things are just my vibe. And everything about the Turbo Megazord, just with how it looks proportionally, how everything works and fits together. Yeah, I always really liked it. I always really dug it. Ironically enough, it's like one of the only Megazords I've never gotten, despite it being my favorite. I've thought about picking it up multiple times. It just has never worked out. But I don't know. Maybe one of these days Zap will do a Turbo Megazord. That'd be cool. I still need to pick up the Astro Megazord, but if Zap ever did a Turbo Megazord, I would be on that immediately. But anyway, speaking of Astro Megazord, they're next on the list. Astro Megazord is another solid Megazord. I kind of miss Megazords that are just a singular robot. You know, like there's no individual components of the Zord piloted by different Rangers. Especially because nowadays I feel like a lot of Ranger shows, they do this thing where people pilot Zords that when their Zords aren't part of combinations and stuff. So I feel like it would just be better to just have like a standard robot where everyone could just pilot it. So yeah, this Astro Megazord is kind of a practice I wish we could do again. We haven't really done anything like it since, at least for Rangers. I know Sentai has done a lot of similar you know, styles of robot to this. This is another good one. I don't know if I want to put it in A or S. I would probably say S. It's just one of the greats. It's really easy and fun, especially the toy. Toy is super easy and fun to play with. So yeah, we're going to put it at the bottom of S tier. So right now we got Turbo Megazord, Shogun Megazord, and the Astro Megazord in S tier. So there we go. Moving on to Lost Galaxy. So we have the Galaxy Megazord. And this one always looked kind of funny to me. It was very boxy. And yeah, I don't know. Like, it was really weird because, you know, you had the whole Galactabeast thing. And then they would turn into Zords, like actual proper Zords. And I don't know. Like, I have a lot of fun memories of it. This is one of my childhood Megazords, the Galaxy Megazord. but it does look weird. And it has probably aged probably not the best out of all of these that we've talked about so far. I would probably put it in... Yeah. And we'll put it in C tier, below the Zeo Megazord. So, yeah, that's where that will live. Cool. Okay, so next up we have the Rescue Megazord from Lightspeed Rescue. So not the Rescue Megazord from Turbo, the one from Lightspeed. A lot of these Zords have the same names. Colin says, I always thought that the trans daggers were like the morphers for the Galactobees. Oh, I suppose that would make sense. I never considered that, but yeah, I suppose that's a good point. I guess those robot forms would be like morphed forms. I don't know. That whole thing was just kind of screwy. They haven't really done... It's kind of like the Astro Megazord. They haven't really done anything like that since, where it was like an organic thing turned into a robot. So, I don't know. Anyway, so the Rescue Megazord. The toys for this one were super fun. I had these growing up, and I always thought it was pretty cool that blue, pink, and yellow could do kind of like a half formation, where it's just basically everything from the Megazord from the waist down with just some water cannons on top. Just kind of like walking around and spraying out fires and stuff. Also dug the transformation sequence for this one, just kind of with how realistic it was, quote unquote. They didn't really rely on... Because, like, often in Rangers, these things can just kind of, like, I don't know, magically fly in the air and everything combines, or everything just turns into a beam of light, and then all of a sudden, oh, look, it's a Megazord. And, there's been some realism in some of these, like, combination sequences. Like Turbo had it with the Turbo Megazord, because the Zords are just literally crashing into each other, and that's how they combine. But yeah, I always dug that part of this Megazord, that everything was just kind of like based on realism a little bit more, so that's kind of cool. But overall, for the aesthetics of the Rescue Megazord, it's probably the least impressive from this season. I think all of the other Zords the Rangers get after this are a lot more interesting than the Rescue Megazord. Because, I mean, you think about it, they get the Super Train, they get the Omega Megazord, and, I don't know, just all of those just look better. And the suit, for this one in particular, for some reason, they just decided to make it very boxy, and it just doesn't look very good, at least I don't think. So I think this will be the first entry into D tier, just because it's the least impressive out of the Lightspeed Zords. I think all of the other Zords in this season are more impressive than this one. Okay, so moving along, we have the Time Force Megazord. And the Time Force Megazord is very interesting because it's our first technical triple changer, and kind of only triple changer, because again, we haven't really done anything like this since. So I didn't categorize it into like mode blue and mode red separately. I'm just kind of categorizing the thing as a whole, and just kind of how the whole thing works. So I dig the multiple modes. I think that's cool and unique, and I kind of wish they would try something like that again. I just don't think they will, though, because Time Ranger was one of the worst performing Sentai series in terms of toy sales, from my understanding at least. So it's probably very unlikely they would ever do any of the ideas that they did in Time Ranger again. But I don't know. I always thought it was very unique. Mode Red is probably the best looking one of the two. But yeah, I mean, they both had their own strengths. I think Mode Blue was supposed to be more like a speed-centric, kind of like bouncy, kind of like range attack kind of thing. And then Mode Red was supposed to be for more like hand-to-hand combat. Cause that's why it had the sword and the shield and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, it was cool. And then you had the jet mode too, obviously. Yeah, it was just cool that all of the things kind of fit together in a very seamless way. There wasn't like very big like design disparities between all of the Time Flyers or anything like that. So I would say we'll put that in. It's probably the best out of C tier, so we'll put it at the top of C tier because I think it's just kind of okay. It definitely fits the aesthetic and all that stuff, so we're putting it at the top of C tier above the Zeo Megazord and the Galaxy Megazord. So moving on to Wild Force, we have the Wild Force Megazord. And this was kind of like the first... I think it's like really the first organically designed like animal Zords that Sentai and PR ever did. Because everything was very boxy and robotic before this, and I think this was the first time they tried to kind of go away from that and try to add a little bit more, I don't know, just a little bit more organic qualities to the Zords, and especially because like a lot of these were CGI, and so yeah, these have definitely aged well. I would say, out of all of the animal Zords out there, the Wild Force Zords and Gal Ranger or whatever, all of these have aged really well, and I'd say they're all pretty good. So I think the Wild Force Megazord, I think we're going to put that in B tier. Yeah, we'll put it in B tier. I think there are like way cooler Megazords in the season because there's so many. You have the Kongazord, you have the Isis Megazord. I think the Isis Megazord is the best from this season, easily, just because of how impressive it looks. But I think all of the Zords are very solid in this season. So we'll put Wild Force Megazord at the bottom of B tier, below the Dino Megazord and the Mega Thunder Zord. Okay, so now we're moving along into the Disney era. So now we have the Storm Megazord for the Wind Rangers. And this one's cool. I don't know if it's one of my favorites, though, if I'm honest. Like, as much as I love Ninja Storm's stuff, their Zords were never really, like, the big selling point for me. I always thought they were just kind of, like, average. They had cool gimmicks and stuff with, like, the power spheres and all that. But, I don't know. They just weren't, like, terrific. They did, like, experiment with stuff, because, the Storm Megazord had, like, a lightning mode and all that fun business. But yeah, even with that, it was still just kind of like okay. And you did have cool elements with like them being in disguise or whatever, the little hologram hiding spots, which was cool. I think so I think the Storm Megazord will go in C tier. Probably we'll probably put it, So we're going to put the Storm Megazord in C tier between the Time Force Megazord and the Zeo Megazord. So, there we go. Now we have the Thunder Megazord, the Thunder Rangers main Megazord. And I gotta be honest, like, this one I never really vibed with. It always just kind of looked ugly to me. Yeah. And, like, just, like, with the way the colors are laid out, like, I feel like the color layout could have been a little bit better. Because it just looks, like, the whole Zord just looks like it's a Navy Ranger Zord, because, like, all of Hunter's Zord things, like, that have his color on it just kind of get covered by Blake's Zord pieces. So, I don't know if it's bad enough to put an F tier, though, because that seems kind of harsh. But I also, like, don't really like it at all. You know? So, yeah, because then, like, the way it combines with the Storm Megazord isn't really great either. It just kind of becomes arms and boots. Yeah, the Thunder Megazord just really isn't that great. I think it's going to be our first entry into F tier, which is unfortunate. Sorry, guys. But yeah, there we go. Thunder Megazord's going to be an F tier, so that's just going to be how it is. Alright, so moving along, we have the Thundersaurus Megazord. And this one's... I like this one. Now, I like Dino Thunder, but... Are their Zords the best? Their Zords are okay. I think there are a lot cooler Zords. But if we're just judging the Thundersaurus Megazord by itself... do I like it more than the Dino Megazord? I don't know. Thundersaurus Megazord's probably gonna go in B tier. We will put it above the Dino Megazord for now. So we're gonna put the Thundersaurus Megazord at the top of B tier, because it is pretty cool, especially with the whole drill arm thing. There was a mechanism on the thing where the drill and the end of the Triceratops tail could become a sword, and that's something I wish they utilized more in Dino Thunder. I think they might have used it a little bit in Nova Ranger, but it's something I definitely wish they utilized more in Dino Thunder. So moving along, we have the Delta Squad Megazord from SPD. And, you know, as much as I love SPD, their Zords really aren't terrific. Their Zords are just kind of mid. I would say probably... Because, like, the girls especially, they just kind of get, like, these weird roundish boxes that just aren't terrific. Like, I dig Jax, like the patrol car thing, and then Skies is fine, you know, with like the flying, the, you know, helicopter type of thing. And then Green is okay because it's like an arsenal carrier type of thing, but it's one of those things where it's better together as a Megazord than the individual ones are separately. And there are a few cool CGI moments with this Megazord in particular. So We'll probably put it at the top of C tier above the Time Force Megazord, because I think aesthetically I do still prefer it over like Time Force's stuff. So yeah, we'll put the Delta Squad Megazord at the top of C tier for now. And moving on, we have the Titan Megazord from Mystic Force. This one's really good. Yeah, you know, just full transparency. It's very good. I would probably put it. We'll put it in A tier, because it's not like best of the best for me, but it's pretty high. We'll put it at the top of A tier above the Ninja Megazord. So, yeah, I dig the concept behind it, with all the different. I appreciate that it's like they're all like humanoid Zords that form this Megazord, and it looks as good as it does, especially with like the wingspan and all that stuff. It all looks really good. It has like the little dragon formation too, which is very nice. Okay, so moving on, we have the Drive Max Megazord from Overdrive. And can I just say really quick, the Megazord names in the Disney era are just so much more interesting than in eras before and after it. they were really just like, because like it feels like just about every season before and after has just put like the team's name and then the Megazord. You know, that's just kind of like the go-to for naming conventions for Megazords. But anywho, ignoring that, so Drive Max Megazord, I like all the Overdrive Zords. I think they're all like really cool, especially with how everything can combine in a way that is kind of clusterfucky, but it looks good. So I think Drive Max we will put. I like Drive Max a lot, so I think we'll put it at the bottom of A tier. Yeah, so we'll have Titan Megazord, Ninja Megazord, and Drive Max Megazord in A tier. Cool. So next up we have the Jungle Pride Megazord from Dino Fury, and this one's just kind of okay. Jungle Fury's Zords kind of like tried doing the same thing Wild Forces did, but I think they were just kind of less successful because the transformations and the way that the things worked weren't as interesting or intuitive. Yeah, I don't think the way Jungle Fury's Zords worked were very interesting, if I'm honest. So we'll probably put that in D tier underneath the Rescue Megazord. Yeah, we'll put it there because like they look cool, but I don't know. It's I don't know. I just feel like there's, out of all of the Megazords on this list, there's just so many cooler ones than the Jungle Pride Megazord. Now, next up we have the High Octane Megazord from RPM, and this one's very silly looking, obviously. You know, it's got the big googly anime eyes, and you know, you basically got a little totem pole of anime eyes looking at you. But there's still something very endearing about it, and I still really like it, despite that. So I think we'll put it in B, just because I just kind of like the way it all looks. We'll put it at the bottom of B tier, underneath the Wild Force Megazord. Just because it is very silly, yes, mixing the animal aesthetic with cars and vehicles and all that. But I don't know, for whatever reason it just works for me and I really like it. So moving along, we have the Samurai Megazord from, can you guess? It's from Samurai. We're back to this for naming conventions again. And Samurai Megazord looks pretty cool. I dig the idea behind it. I think we will put the Samurai Megazord in C tier at the top. Yeah. Because I don't think it's like overly impressive, but I think it does look cool. It's probably like the coolest and most average looking out of all the Zords. So there we have that. So next up we have the Gosei Great Megazord from Megaforce. I guess they didn't want to call it the Megaforce Megazord, or they just didn't want to work around the whole Gosei Great being printed on the cards that was in the footage. This one's okay. The header concept was like an okay concept for me. I was never like too hot on it, but it was just an okay thing. That being said, I feel like there could have been some more versatility with it. I think for the sake of it, we're going to put it at the top of D tier. So above the Rescue Megazord. So do I like the Galaxy Megazord more than Gosei Great Megazord? Yeah, I guess I do. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so we'll put the Gosei Great Megazord at the top of D tier. Above the Rescue Megazord and the Jungle Pride Megazord. Next up, we have the Legendary Megazord from Super Megaforce. And this is one of those things where, and I felt the same way when I watched Gokaiger. I really felt like the whole Megazord should have just been the Galleon. It seemed very, I don't know, kind of pointless to create four separate Zords for the other four Rangers. I felt like the whole thing could have just been the Skyship or the Gokai Galleon, whatever you want to call it. Especially because the other four Zords were stored inside the Galleon. So why wouldn't you just make a one component Megazord, you know? So I always thought that was kind of silly with this Megazord. But all that being said, it is still very cool looking. And everything, like all the aesthetics for it do look really cool. And it does get a lot of cool action sequences, more so than a lot of these Megazords do. Mostly because of CGI and just kind of advancements in technology. So it does have that working for it. So I think we'll put it at the top of B tier. So above the Thundersaurus Megazord for now. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna blow my nose really quick. Okay, hopefully I muted that, and hopefully you didn't hear any of that. So, anyway, so we got 4 more. We're wrapping this up fairly quickly, but that's honestly pretty fine with me. So, next up, we have the Dino Charge Megazord. And where do I want to put the Dino Charge Megazord? The Dino Charge Megazord, I think we'll go... It'll probably go in B tier. Is it my favorite out of all of the dinos? No, it's not. Okay, so we're gonna put it in B tier. We're gonna put it below Legendary Megazord, but above the Thundersaurus Megazord and the Dino Megazord. So I guess it would be my favorite Dino Megazord of those three. Which, yeah. Because it does look really good. And it kind of tries to do the same thing with Thundersaurus did with the drill arm thing. But this time around, they put like an actual hand in there on the Triceratops. So they were able to kind of do both of those things. So yeah, we'll put it at the top, right there on B tier for now. Okay, now moving along next to the Ninja Steel Megazord. That one is just not good at all. So we're going to put it at the bottom of F tier. It is the worst Megazord Sentai and Power Rangers has ever done. I get what they were trying to do. So, like, the whole idea behind Shurikenjin, anyway, I don't know if they had considered anything for America, but the whole idea was they were, like, trying to partly celebrate the anniversary in Ninja because they want to extend anniversaries to as many shows as they can. So the idea was to put in a representation of every type of mecha the show had ever had in Ninja. And I just don't think that was the year to do it because, I don't know, it's just the theming made no sense. Like, it didn't make sense why a Ninja season would have a dump truck Zord or a train. We had, like, the dog and the dragon, which are fine. And I feel like they tried to, like, fix it later with, like, the Blazords or whatever they're called in Ninja. I can't remember. I think it's Gekyatsu Dio, something like that. But yeah, I feel like they tried backtracking on that later on in the season, and it just, like, didn't work out for them. And so it was just a bunch of, like, really bad looking Zords, and they all just don't really look the best, especially for a Ninja season. Like, the theming, like, it made sense because Sentai does, they do more on purpose, like, callbacks like that more frequently than Rangers does. I don't know. It still isn't good. So we're just going to put the Ninja Steel Megazord at the bottom of F tier. It's the worst of the worst. It's not very good at all. Okay, so next up we have the Beast X Megazord. Now, despite Go Busters and, kind of being one of my favorite Sentai, I don't think the Zords were, like, the best. Like, they were okay. I think the individual Cheetazord by itself looks a lot better than the Beast X Megazord does altogether. I don't know, it just kind of looks very clunky. But I mean, it's also cool because, like, it's essentially 3 triple changers merged into one, so you have to consider that as well. But yeah, even with all of that, it's still not one of my favorites. I think we'll put it at the top of D tier because it's not. I don't know. I just don't think it's very good. So, yeah, we're just gonna put the Beast X Megazord at the top of D tier. And that brings us to the last one, which is the Dino Fury Megazord. And for this, I did just include the formation with the Tricera and Ankylozord. And it's Ankylozord, not Anklezord, like so many of these seasons will have you believe. But yeah, I just included that formation because I guess the core 3 of Dino Fury and Ryusoulger is red, green, or red, blue, and pink, I guess. Even though it's very short-lived in both shows. But yeah, this is kind of like the default formation for the Megazord. And honestly, it's really nice. They got a lot of cool fight sequences out of this one. It's probably the most... has the most movement out of all of the Zords pretty much here, I would say. A lot of acrobatics with this. Would I put it in A tier? I would probably put it... I don't know if I like it that much. Well, I think we'll put it at the top of B tier. Above the Legendary Megazord. Because I think what puts it a step above the Legendary Megazord is a lot of what it can do was captured in practical effects. Whereas, like, a lot of the Legendary Megazord stuff, a lot of that stuff was done in CGI. So, they were able to do a lot of cool practical stunts and effects with the Dino Fury Megazord that they weren't able to do with Legendary Megazord. So we'll put it at the top of B tier. So yeah, man, there's that. There is the tier list. There is all of that. Let's go down the list in case you're just following along with the audio. So in S tier, we have the Turbo Megazord at the best of the best, basically. Shogun Megazord and the Astro Megazord. And then in A tier, we have the Titan Megazord, the Ninja Megazord, and the Drive Max Megazord. And then B tier has the most entries in it, with the Dino Fury Megazord, the Legendary Megazord, Dino Charge Megazord, the Thundersaurus Megazord, the Dino Megazord, the Mega Thunderzord from Season 2, the Wild Force Megazord, and the High Octane Megazord. And then in C tier, we have the Samurai Megazord, the Delta Squad Megazord, the Time Force Megazord, the Storm Megazord, the Zeo Megazord, and the Galaxy Megazord. And then in D tier, we have the Beast X Megazord, the Gosei Great Megazord, the Rescue Megazord from Lightspeed, and the Jungle Pride Megazord from Jungle Fury. And then in F tier, we only have 2, but we have the Thunder Megazord from Ninja Storm and the Ninja Steel Megazord all the way at the bottom. Kind of where it belongs, if I'm honest. So yeah, man, that's the tier list. I meant to put a link to this in the description so you guys could like follow along or like do your own like last week. But we're probably going to be wrapping up in a few minutes anyway, so there's that. There's that for you. If you are interested, I did make my own tier list again for this. just because I'm me and I wanted to make my own thing. So I'll tweet out the link if you would like to make your own, and you can just kind of tweet them at me after the show or however you would like to do that. So yeah, man. Just a few more announcements. I do want to go over the giveaway again. I did retweet the tweet with both links for the Google Forms, like right before the show started. So it's right here. I have it up here on screen so you can take a look at it. Just fill out these Google Forms and I will pick a winner next Friday. Actually, the 25th will be the day I pick those winners. So yeah, that crept up on me. Wasn't expecting that, but yeah, man. I don't think anyone has actually entered at all yet. So if you would like the chance to win, go ahead and head on over. I even put direct links to the Google Forms in the video description, which I believe I mentioned at the top of the episode. So yeah, man, those are all still there. So check those out, enter the giveaway, do all that fun stuff. Let me go ahead and get my screen out of there. So here we go. It's just me. So yeah, I think we're gonna call it quits for tonight, though, guys. It's a bit of a shorter, kind of a normal length episode, if I'm honest. And sorry if it did seem like I was just kind of like trying to power through this. I'm still not feeling like 100% terrific, but I did want to at least get this episode out there tonight, and I did want to just make something. I would rather just put up something for a little bit than, not do anything at all and just kind of feel like crap about it for not doing it all weekend. But yeah, thanks for tuning in tonight, you guys. I appreciate it as always. Enter the giveaway if you want. If you're going to Japan World Heroes, have fun. Hopefully I will see you there. I'm still playing it by ear. I'm really hoping some kind of miracle happens when I fall asleep tonight and I wake up and I'm just not feeling sick anymore. I'm hoping something like that happens and I can actually go to that. But I don't know. We'll see. Regardless, anyway, we're going to call it quits for tonight, you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week for another Friday Night Chill.